I feel like your business, I feel like this is something that I can add to to my business as a tool to help my customers.
Because this is a big problem for a lot of people. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on it.
How are you solving the capital gains tax problem if they go to sell?
You know what? To be honest with you, it's interesting that you reach out to me because I do feel like your business in a way is kind of like remind me of some of the things that I'm doing. You trying to help somebody from you trying to help them save money.
Yeah.
And in return, this is a good thing. 30%, 40%. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have a vehicle that you can create to help somebody defer that. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, 30% might not be nothing to somebody who have a lot of money, but for some people, man, it's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So what are the potential solutions that you have come up with?
I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like your business, I feel like this is something that I can add to to my business as a tool to help my customers, because
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
because this is what my business is about. But my business, we're not really um like money driven. The money's gonna come,
Right.
but we're more about solution. We're solution based type of business. And then we try to educate people. We try to help people in many ways, in any way that we can, in any ways that we can, that we can do so. So in regards to that, I have clients that are, they'll buy one property from me, they'll come back and buy another one, they'll buy multiple properties. So I think they can definitely benefit from that.
So are you
From a 1031 exchange.
Yeah,
I know about that a little bit more, but as far as like, the deferred tax strategies, I'm kind of green on that subject a little bit, but I think it's interesting. I think I can definitely benefit from that. And I think people can definitely benefit from that. Just knowing that you have that option.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into that a little bit because
Sure.
so just for some context, right? So typically, like, so I'm a real estate agent out in Newport Beach, right? And one of the things is out here in California, right? I have super high taxes, like you do in New York, right?
Okay.
Super high state taxes, super high, and wealthy people, right? That have assets that have just super highly appreciated. For example,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a gentleman who bought, 2 properties on the beach for like 600 grand back in the 90s, and now they're worth 10, 12 million, right? But his basis is like 1.2 million. He's fully depreciated them. I mean, he sells those properties for $12 million, and he's looking at a $4 million+ capital gains tax. It's ridiculous. And so one of the strategies that I've implemented in my business, and this is why I do this podcast and all this kind of stuff, is because it's kind of like the cornerstone of my competitive advantage out here, is the fact that I can defer the tax on all of those properties. And it's not just real estate. I mean, it's commercial real estate. It's residential primary homes. It's Bitcoin. It's stocks. It's businesses. It's anything that's highly appreciated. You can use a deferred sales trust for. So and you can transfer it into any sort of asset classes. So if you know anything about a 1031 exchange, one of the problems is, and this is one of the biggest frustrations with the capital gains tax on the 1031, is that people have 180 days to close on a brand new property, and they only have 45 days to identify that property. Wow. And then they have to go back into property, or some sort of like land. So if you got to sell a building, you're going back and doing a building, and you got to replace the debt. And it's hard to find those deals in a market that's, kind of going up, right? Because you're selling high, and then 180 days later, you're buying even higher, and your depreciation schedule travels with you. And so one of the beautiful things about the deferred sales trust is that it's like kind agnostic, which means you can sell an asset and then you can put it into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, business. You can put it into real estate when you want, though. You don't have to do it right away. You don't have that 180-day time constraint that you do with a 1031, and you don't have that like kind time constraint. So you get to control the timing of it. So, for example, we had a lady who had bought Bitcoin back in 2009, of course, right? She put 50 grand. Goes to 50 million. Okay. She is like, all right, I'm going to liquidate some of it because I need to get out. She couldn't figure out how to get out of it. She didn't sell any of it because she's like, I have this huge tax problem, right? If I sell all this, plus she would tank the markets and all this kind of stuff, right? Like, so anyway, she ended up doing a deferred sales trust. She deferred about $5 million, and she put that and saved about 1.8 million in capital gains tax liability, and she put all 5 million into the DST, and she took a bunch of that and invested it in her friend's like education business for people in India. Like that was what she wanted to do, start her friend. But now she's got the other couple million sitting in this trust, right? And now that Bitcoin has dropped to, I mean, I'm sure what, like, I just saw like 28,000 like today, as of May 27, 2022, right? Well, guess what? Now she can buy. She sold at 54,000, right? Which it went to 65, so people are like freaking out. But now she looks like a genius, right?
Yeah.
It's now 28. But guess what? She's positioned to where she can go and buy back in low because she can control the timing of it. And so it's like, it's the ability to I don't want to say time the markets, because never win when you time the markets, but when you have the ability to kind of control when you're gonna go in, and you can sell high, right? And buy low, you can exponentially increase your wealth. And so the fact that it works for all of that is absolutely just amazing. And you guys can learn more about that.
So so basically she could use that same tax deferred money to invest again.
Yeah.
And then whatever income she makes, she can pay the taxes.
She could pay the taxes, or she doesn't have to. She can let that compound if she doesn't need the revenue.
Let me ask you, is there a time limit for that?
So we structure what happens is you become a lender at that point. So quick mechanics, right? You have a buyer that's gonna buy a piece of property, right? And let's say this guy's gonna buy it for $1 million, okay? And we bought it for $1 million, right? He's gonna sell it for $5 million, and his tax, is gonna be around, I don't know, $1 million. Okay, so what happens is you guys line up the transaction, right? Before you close, we talk with the client, and we get their risk tolerance questionnaire and everything all squared away. And then what happens is you, seller, right, sells the property to the trust. That's Capital Gains Tax Solutions. They sell it to the trust, okay? And then the trust turns around and immediately sells it to the ultimate buyer, okay? The ultimate buyer will fund the trust, whether it's cash or financing or whatever it is, right? They will fund the trust. They'll take title and they'll walk away. And then the trust is left with all the capital. They'll pay off the debt, okay? But then that money's sitting there in a pot. And then they turn around and they write you a note. And they write you a note for the $5 million, right? Or $4 million after you pay off your debt or whatever it is, right? At a preferred rate of return based upon your risk tolerance that we talked about before. And then we structure those notes typically in about 10 years, but they're flexible. You can do 7 or 5 or whatever. So what ends up happening is at the end of 10 years, right? You can have a couple options. You can take the money out and pay your tax and whatever. Anything that you have made interest-wise, you'll pay ordinary income tax on. Anything that you have left in there for the principal of the gain will be taxed at the capital gains rate. But you don't have to. You can just renew the note. And what's cool is because you can basically use it as like a self-directed IRA account almost. It's a business trust that only does business with you.
but you can invest in any property or anything that you want, right? Most people just renew it because they're like, why am I going to bring this money back and pay the tax on it when I can just continue to invest it in whatever I want? So we had a gentleman sold a $2.6 million business. He ended up deferring about $600,000 or $700,000 in capital gains tax, turns around and puts it into a 72 unit multifamily development deal like a year and a half later. So his ability to, do this, to control it, he can invest in whatever he wants. It's like, so why? It also moves assets outside the taxable state. So for those people that are in that $22 million range, and you're over that, you're going to have a significant tax to the heirs at the estate tax, and it moves assets outside the taxable state for that. So it's a phenomenal estate planning tool as well.